In this video, we're going to be looking at async action creators with Redux Thunk middleware. We'll be working from a simple to-do list web application that we've built previously and moving it from using a simple in-memory Redux store to persisting the data via a REST API. So let's move into the code. So here we have our application where we have a Redux store already set up. We have a simple add to-do and delete to-do action. And then we have a to-dos component, a to-do input component for listing and allowing the user to create new to-dos. So the first thing we're going to do is install Redux Thunk, and we're also going to install Axios for making HTTP requests. So in order to create our mock REST API server, we're going to create a JSON file called db.json, which is just going to have a single property of to-dos, and we're going to initialize it with an empty array. We're then going to run npx JSON server, and we're going to pass our db.json file. And this will now spin up a server on port 3000, providing us with a REST API. And we're now going to also npm start our React application. If you see on port 3000 / to-dos, we have an empty array. So now we're going to import apply middleware from Redux. We're then going to pass it as a second argument to the create store call, and then we're going to pass in the Thunk middleware, and then we're just going to import Thunk from Redux Thunk. Now we have our Thunk middleware in place, we're going to create an actions.js file, and we're going to create a function called fetch to-dos. And this is going to return a function. We're also going to import Axios. So this is going to return a function, and we're going to be provided with an argument of dispatch. So we're then able to make a request to our REST API over HTTP localhost port 3000 / to-dos. So we'll make a GET request, and then when we have a response back, we'll then call dispatch, and then we'll provide it with the type, and we'll call that set to-dos, and then the payload will be our response data. So if we now move back to our reducer function and add a new case of set to-dos, and we just return the current state with the new to-dos from the action payload. Now if we head on back down to our app component, and we want to call use dispatch, and we also want to import fetch to-dos from actions, and then inside our use effect hook, we're going to then dispatch the action in order to go and fetch the to-dos from the API. So if we now switch into Chrome, pull up Developer Tools, if we reload the browser, we'll then see the call that's made and the empty array. Now we're going to duplicate our fetch to-dos, and we're just going to create a post to-do. And this is going to be for creating a new to-do. And so we just need to change the get to post, and then post the to-do, and then change the action type to add to-do. And then if we update the click event, so we now just want to grab the payload, remove the old object, and instead we want to call post to do, passing in the payload, and then add the import for post to do. If we go back to the browser, we'll see we're able to add, and then the post request is made, and we get a successful creation. So the final step is now going to be to create our delete to do. So we'll again take a copy of the previous one, but we're only going to need the ID. We're going to swap the post to delete, and then we're going to interpolate the ID into the URL, and then dispatch delete to do. And then import and update our dispatch. And we only need the ID here. And if we switch back to the browser, on clicking a to-do, we should be making a delete request, which we are, which will remove the to-do from the API. But it looks like we have a slight issue. Okay, that looks fine. Yeah, so we're just missing the ID from the payload. So if we create a new to-do, and then we should now be deleting. And if we refresh the browser, we can see there are no to-dos left on the API. And thanks for watching. If you like this video, please like, comment and subscribe.